Yo, what's good, yo? I'm JB Hoops, and today I got my top 10 forwards in the 2022 NBA draft. If you want to go check out the top 10 guards and top 10 wings video, I've already done that. Like the video, subscribe, comment what you think of this one, and let's get into it. So starting off with a few honorable mentions, they go to Jabari Walker out of Colorado, Josh Minor out of Memphis, and Jake LaRavia out of Wake Forest. Alright, now let's get into my top 10 forwards in this year's draft. Starting the top 10 off, I have Harrison Ingram, the freshman out of Stanford. He's 6'7", 230 and a versatile forward and a very solid playmaker. I think he has some point forward potential. He kind of gives you a little bit of everything offensively. He can hit the three despite only shooting 31%. But I do have a few concerns regarding his shooting consistency, as he shot under 40% from the field and only 66% from the stripe. And I also have a few defensive concerns with his foot speed guarding NBA athletes. But overall, Harrison Ingram is an extremely intriguing prospect, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up a first round pick. At 9, I have Liddell, the 6'7" senior out of Ohio State. He's built. I think he'll be a great pick and pop four in the NBA. He has great touch around the basket, and he's an excellent shooter from deep, knocking down about 37% of his threes. He has a 7-foot wingspan, and he's a pretty versatile defender and an excellent shot block, blocking 2.6 shots a game. He was also a big-time scorer at the college level, putting up almost 20 points a game. And he's also a very solid passing forward. But I just do have to lower him a little bit because he is quite undersized at only 6'7", and he is a bit of an older prospect at 21. So for now I have him as the 9th best forward in this class. Just ahead of him I have John Butler Jr., the 7'1" freshman out of Florida State. I'm not entirely sure he's going to stay in the draft, as he didn't have the most productive season at FSU, but he's an excellent prospect who can really shoot the ball. He has great length, and I've seen reports that he has a 7'5" wingspan, so that's just crazy. He has excellent shot blocking instincts. He blocked about 1.2 shots a game in pretty limited minutes. But what makes him special is his ability to defend on the perimeter. He moves really well laterally, and his length is stifling. He can also handle the ball a bit, and I can see the upside of a guy who can grab and go off the glass as well as score off the dribble a little bit. And with him being 7'1", 190, and draining his threes at over 39% in his freshman season, he's definitely going to get some lottery looks next season if he doesn't stay in this year's draft, but for now I have him as the 8th ranked forward in this class. At 7 I have Kendall Brown, the freshman out of Baylor. He's 6'8", probably one of the best athletes in this class. He's super explosive, but where he holds most of his value is on the defensive side. He's super versatile, he can switch 1 through 4, and he has great off-ball defensive instincts. He's also a pretty good playmaker for a forward. He's terrific in transition, and for what he lacks in shot creation ability, he makes up for with his cutting. He's an excellent cutter, and with his explosiveness, it's impossible to stop the backdoor lobs. But I am concerned a little bit with him because he doesn't really have the ability to put the ball on the floor in the half court, and he is extremely hesitant to shoot the three. He knocked down 34% of them this season, but only made 14. So that's going to be an issue in the NBA if he's not confident enough to shoot them. And because of that, I've lowered him a little bit from earlier on in the season, but he's still an electrifying prospect nonetheless. At 6 I have Leonard Miller, the 6'11", 18-year-old out of Canada. I'm pretty sure he's the youngest prospect in this class. He's 6'11" with a 7'2" wingspan, and he's a very raw prospect, but the physical tools and unorthodox talent are there. He can put the ball on the floor, he could be considered as a big guard almost. He has a pretty nice bag of moves and counters, and the way he moves around the court is just amazing. He has super soft touch around the basket, and although his jump shot probably needs to be revamped, he kind of turns his body sideways, and it's not real pretty to look at. The talent is there, and I wouldn't be surprised if a team takes him around the later end of the lottery. He'll definitely be a project pick, taking some time to develop in the half court and with his body. But guys with his skill set at his size are a very hot commodity, so I have him coming in at 6. Coming in at 5 I have Jeremy Sochan, the 6'9" freshman out of Baylor. I've just uploaded a video of him, I think yesterday, by the time this video is out. Check that out if you want to know more about him, more about his game. But he has great size and an NBA body with over a 7-foot wingspan, and he's probably one of the best defenders in this class. He's an insanely versatile defender with a high IQ, he's a pretty solid rebounder, and has a nice handle. He's pretty effective finishing inside. I think he made about 75% of his attempts at the rim, but he's also got a nice pull-up jumper in the mid-range. I think he can hit the three. He shot under 30%, but I think he will be a capable shooter in the NBA. But what concerns me more than that is his terrible free throw shooting at 58.9%. So that's something he'll definitely need to improve. But with his defense and playmaking, I just think he'll be a perfect glue guy that every team needs. So that's why I have him as the 5th ranked forward in this class. Now at 4 I have one that might surprise a few people, but I've got Keegan Murray at 4. The 6'8 sophomore out of Iowa is a prolific scorer at the college level. He has a pretty solid handle, he's an agile and smooth athlete, great rebounder, and has excellent touch around the basket. He's also a very good shooter, knocking down about 40% of his threes, and he has excellent footwork to score on the inside. I think what concerns me the most is his defense. He's a pretty solid defender, but there's a bit of a question mark for me in terms of who he will guard. He doesn't have the size to defend the paint, but is also not quick enough to guard on the perimeter. So there's a few concerns there, and I'm also pretty confident he'll get nowhere near the usage he did at the college level. So I think he'll be more of a floor stretching power forward and won't get as many of the low post reps he did at Iowa. So I just think that might take a little bit away from his value. And there's also just a few other guys that I think are just a little bit better than him. So that's why I have him as the 4th ranked forward in this class. So just ahead of Keegan Murray, I have Tari Eason, the 6'8 sophomore at LSU. This one will definitely surprise a lot of people. I think I'm a lot higher on him than most people are, but his game just impresses me so much. He's super strong and athletic, and just has a great all-around game. In my opinion, he's one of the best defenders in this class. He's versatile and switchable. He's an excellent scorer in transition, but the thing that makes me so high about him is his handle. I just really love his ball handling capabilities. He's definitely up there in terms of handle for bigger guys in this class. He's also got a pretty high IQ, and whilst he shot 36% from deep, from shot to shot his release is very inconsistent, and his shooting probably isn't very convincing for a lot of guys, but he shot 80% from the line, so I have faith in him being a pretty good shooter. In my opinion, he has minimal true flaws besides his 3-point shooting consistency and his turnover issue, but I think he'll be able to control that at the next level. And there's also the fact that he is 21 years old. But for me, I think he'll be a top 10 guy on my draft board all the way up until the draft, and is one of my favourite forward prospects, so that's why I got him at 3. At 2, I have Jabari Smith Jr., the 6'10 freshman out of Auburn. He's a potential top pick in this draft and will very likely be top 5 minimum. He's amongst the best shooters in this class. He shot 42% from deep this season. He's pretty good in the mid-range too, and he's excellent at defending the perimeter. He has elite lateral quickness for someone his size, but despite his two-way abilities and shooting abilities specifically, a lot of people are concerned with his stiffness and inability to handle the basketball. He's very stiff with his dribble, and because he's not explosive either, a lot of the time he struggles to create space, forcing him to settle for bad contested and off-balance shots. He also needs to improve his strength to be able to finish inside and defend NBA bigs, because for a lot of his time at Auburn he just looked reluctant to go inside in the paint, and he kind of looked out of place anytime he tried to go inside. So there are some major concerns I have there, but with his size, shooting and defense, he's definitely going to be a top 5 pick in this draft, and I have him ranked as the 2nd best forward in this class. So that obviously means my number 1 is Paolo Banchero. He's been number 1 on my draft board for a while now, and I think it will stay that way up until the draft. He's 6'10", 250, only 19 years old. He's built somewhat like a younger LeBron. He has a great handle for someone his size. He's an excellent shot creator, great in the mid-range, and has the ability, unlike some others, to break his defender down off the bounce. He's an interior force, great at finishing inside, and I also think he's a better 3-point shooter than the numbers show. He shot just 34%, which is alright, but I think they'll only continue to improve, and it will just open up so much more of his game, as teams are forced to respect his shot. Paolo is also a very good playmaker, especially from the post and in transition, and the main area of concern for a lot of people is his defense, but I think in the NBA he'll be a competent defender. I think his defense is definitely overhated. He's not that bad. A lot of his faults are effort related, so they can definitely be improved, and I think with his IQ and positioning, he'll be a solid off-ball defender, and he's capable of handling himself defending the perimeter. Paolo is just an exceptionally well-rounded prospect. I think he has the most potential to be a star and a number 1 option in the league. I think he has a higher chance of that than pretty much anyone in the class. Although he does still obviously have his flaws. Whilst he's dominant and kind of athletic, he's not super quick. He doesn't have the first step to blow by good defenders. And on defense, he's not a true rim protector or shot blocker, but he'll be capable of playing the 5 to close games and just in spurts if the team needs him to. So that's why Paolo Banchero is my number 1 forward in this class, and number 1 player overall as of now. Alright, wrapping it up, that is my top 10 forwards in this year's draft class. Let me know if you think I forgot anyone. Seen someone comment David Roddy in the Wings video, and I said he was a forward. I've left him off this as well. We didn't even get an honorable mention. I'm just not really sure how his game will translate to the NBA, but I still think he's a very good prospect. There's a lot of great forwards in this class. Comment what you think down below. Like the video, subscribe for more. Road to 500 by the end of the month. JB Hoops. Ow.